Hello Sumeti, welcome to another beautiful video tutorial. So in this video we'll be learning how to make this beautiful dart manipulated top. You can see how beautiful it is on my body. We'll be learning how to draft, we'll be learning how to cut it, we'll be learning how to sew it. So if you are a beginner, this video is well explanatory and you can understand if you're interested in making the top. So without wasting much of our time, let's get started. So I have my fabrics on the table. I have 2 yards of the crepe fabric, but it's not the thick one, okay? I have 2 yards of it, and it's not thick at all because of those drapery parts, the slash and spread parts. That's why I didn't go for a thicker one. So the first thing I want to do is to spread my paper into two. So after spreading my paper into two, I went ahead to take my shoulder measurement, which is 7.5. From there, I took my 1.5 for shoulder slope. Then I came down by 9.5 inches for my chest line measurement. So I went ahead to impute my apex, which is my nipple point, my underbust, and the waistline. Mind you, I added the extra 2 inches to the front waistline. You know the front waistline is lower than the back waistline. So for this video, the front waistline is going to be marking 17 inches, while the front waistline is going to be 15 inches. The reason why is because of the bust dart, the side dart I will be taking away from the front pattern. That is, if you're not new to pattern drafting, you should understand that. So I'm just rolling all my lines, all the horizontal lines across. Okay, so after that, I went ahead to mark the shoulder measurement on the chest line, which is 0.5, and I connected a straight line to the 1.5 inches I came down with for the shoulder slope. Then from there, I marked 3 inches as the neck width, okay? Then I created my shoulder slope to the 1.5 I marked earlier. Then from there, I divided the remaining part of the armhole into two, and I came in by 1/2 inch. I went ahead to impute my bust measurement. So after imputing my bust measurement, I went ahead to curve with my curve ruler. So I'm curving it through to the 1/2 inch I came in with, like so. Then I'm just making the armhole curve basically at this point. So after making the armhole curve, the next thing I want to do now is to label it, the chest line, the nipple point, the underbust, and the waistline. So after getting all my horizontal lines ready, the next thing I want to do is to take my dart intake. My nipple to nipple measurement is 8 inches. Divide by 2 will give me 4. So I went ahead to mark the 4 inches straight to the apex line. Then I took the dart intake, I extended the dart leg 1/2 inch to the left and 1/2 inch to the right. So in total, the dart intake I use in total is 1 inch, okay? So what I want to do now is to extend the dart to the lower part. So I came down by 5 inches and marked the 4 inches inwards to make sure that they align. Then I'm going to connect a straight line and connect the other 2 dart legs to it, connecting all the darts, okay? So after creating our dart like this, the next thing I want to do now is to go ahead and impute my waist measurement plus the 1 inch dart intake. Okay, so if your waist measurement after dividing by 4 is 8 inches, you add the extra 1 inch, which will make it 9. So I went ahead to measure for the full length of the blouse, and I used 24 inches at this point. Okay, so here I marked 23 inches because I felt like it's too short. Then I brought it lower, but then again, I would have even made it longer than it is on my body, like what you saw in the video. So if you want yours longer than that, your full measurement should be more than 24. So I'm just going to connect the line from the chest line to the waistline, then from the waistline to the hem. Don't forget that the lower part, which is the hemline, it is your hip measurement you will impute on that part before connecting with your curve ruler. So the next thing I did was that I went ahead to use my tracing wheel to trace all the lines. What I'm doing here is that I'm transferring all the markings to the other side of the paper. You know the paper is on fold, and I cannot go ahead to start drafting again. So this tracing wheel now will put all these marks on the other side. Then I cannot trace it out with my pencil. So I realized that I've not taken the neck depth at this point. So I went ahead to mark 3 inches downwards. So it means our neck width is 3 inches and the neck depth is 3 inches. So I'll go ahead and use the tracing wheel again to trace the neck part also, so that by the time I spread it, I will be able to use my pencil to trace all the lines out. I know you cannot see all the traces I've made because my phone is not that sharp to capture details. So here I've gone ahead to transfer all of the measurements to the other side of the paper, as you can see. So the next thing I want to do here now is to go ahead and impute the side dart, which is also known as the bust dart. So I'm going to place it on both sides. Don't forget that this paper, we are working on the full front measurement, not like half that we normally work with. So after connecting the bust dart, I extended the side by 1.5 of an inch and I rule another line. Then on the midpoint, I'm going to rule a straight line downwards. Then I'm going to connect the measurement from the hem, the 24 inches as the full length of the top. I'm going to come down by 6 inches. Then I'm going to connect a slant line from that 6 inches at the center front to the 1.5 I connected at the side. Okay, so after connecting it this way, we need to create another dart leg, okay, to give us the sharp V effect in front. Okay, so from the second dart leg now, connect another line from that point to meet at the center front where you have the other line. So I felt like the line was too high. Okay, so I have to wipe it away and reconnect another one. Don't forget that you're connecting from the second dart leg. So let me give you a guide. From the second dart leg where my pencil is now, go up by 1 inch, then connect from there to the center front line. Can you see? So you connect it this way. By the time you connect it this way, it will be easy for you. So from on the other side now, I marked 1.5 to reconnect, like the 1.5 were extended this other side, which is what I repeated there. Okay, so I'm just wiping out the center front, the markings at the center front, so that we don't get too confused. Okay, so on the same second dart leg, you are creating another slant line straight to the hem. Can you see what it looks like? Then from there, connect it straight to that 1 inch extension you created at the side with your curve ruler or your straight ruler. So you can see where these stickers are to serve as a guide for you. So you are already creating the slant, okay, for the front, okay? So after creating this part now, the next thing you want to do, I went ahead to wipe every other line out so that we don't get confused. Okay, that's why I'm wiping the lines away so you don't get confused. So now I want to create the bust dart for the right side. So what I did, like, if you before you are able to crease, you have to slit part of it open. So I slit the bust dart area open. You can't close only the bust dart area by slitting only the bust dart area open. So I went ahead to slit the waist dart straight to the nipple points also, so that I will be able to crease the bust dart area. Now you pay attention to this part because this is the major part of the video. So after slitting it to the nipple point, I went ahead to close the bust dart. Okay, I went ahead to cover it out. Then I reconnected the lines. You know, after creating your bust dart, the lines do not align anymore, so you reconnect. Then I went ahead to trim the lower part. Then after doing this, go ahead and tape it down with your sellotape or any tape at all that you were using. So after doing that, I went ahead to cut out this other side away from it, so that it will be easy for me to work with, because we're majorly working on this side first before we're coming to this other side, so that we don't get confused. So I'm just marking out the parts we do not need, so we do not get confused. So after doing that now, for us now to be able to trace the opening, like where we want the gathers to be, you know, the gathers is below under bust, right? The gathers is below the under bust. So for us to be able to do that, you have to close the waist dart also. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm trying to close the waist dart so that after closing the waist dart, now I can now go ahead and make a curve of where I want the slash and spread to be on. Now don't forget that the slash and spread is only going to be on the bigger part of the dress, of the top. We're coming to that part. So after taping the waistline down, I'm just going to create a curve from the under bust, okay? From the under bust line. Can you see what I'm doing? I'm curving it straight through to the under bust line, okay? Now to save yourself the strength, if you can actually do this without closing the bust dart first, okay? You can do it without closing the bust dart. So after that, I went ahead to slit the bust dart open again because I've gotten the curve I needed, okay? How I want it. So the next thing, after slitting the bust dart open, I went ahead to slit the waist. I slashed the waist to the end, leaving a very tiny part of it, okay? So that I myself, I will be able, you can see that I'm cutting the dart away also, so that I will be able to work on the remaining part. So I'm just slitting all the dart lines open so that I can also close the bust dart. So when I close the bust dart now, we will now be able to slash the other part open and create more darts for our slash and spread, okay? So you can see me here that I'm taping it down. So after taping it down like this, the next thing you want to do now, I will go ahead and trim. You can see what I've done, right? You can see what I've done. I've gone ahead to close the bust dart back. So I'm extending the dart leg to the end, okay? Just roll a straight line to the end of your pattern. So after rolling it that way, the next thing you want to do now, you know there is dart in between, and I did slit the dart. So I'm just marking the dart away also, like I did for the other side. So I'm going to cut this lower part away so that I can close this waist dart on the left, okay? So you can see what I'm doing. I'm just slitting, I will just slit this place open. Then after that, I can now close the waist dart, okay? So don't forget that it is only on the lower part we are closing now first. We are going to close the upper part later, okay? So this is what I will do. I'll pick my tape and tape it down. So you can see that I've gone ahead to tape it down neatly. So after taping it down, the next thing I will do now is to slit the waist dart open. I'm not meant to slit at the middle. I'm meant to slit at only one part, but it doesn't matter. I'm still going to slit it again and close the dart when it is time for us to do that. So you can see me slitting all the dart open. So I can close this other bust dart, okay? So first of all, we slitted the lower waist dart open and we close it. Then I slitted the upper bust dart so that I can close. I slitted the upper waist dart before closing this bust dart. Please take note of the steps so that you don't make mistake, okay? So after closing it now, the bust dart, I'm reconnecting again because the lines, they don't align anymore. And after that, I will just go ahead and cut all of the excess paper away before we will continue. So after cutting it all out, the next thing you want to do now is to open another dart, okay? So from the apex now, from the nipple point, create another dart line to the center on both nipple points, on both points. So you can see the pattern pointing out. You create to the center, you're making a slant line to the center of the pattern. You can see the crease line at the center, right? So after that, slit the one only on the right side open, okay? Slit it open. After slitting it, close it. So shift it to the right side and close it back. Okay, so what you do now, go ahead and tape it down. Now after taping it down, now we are going to slit this part again so that we can close it to the others, to the major parts of the pattern. So you can see what I'm doing. I'm now creating another star line. Okay, one thing about that manipulation, if you want more openings, you will close major dot lines. Okay, so I've created another dot. Okay, then I'm going to slit it open to the apex point. I'll slit it to the apex so that I can close this one on this other side. Can you see what we're doing here? So after that, bring it back to this side, close it, tape it down. So after taping it down, we are now going to open more dots. Okay, so from this other apex now, we are creating another 2 lines from there. Can you see what I'm doing? So you create another 2 lines, draw another 2 lines. So you are creating 2 more dot lines again. So that is from the left side apex point. So after doing that, the next thing you want to do now is to go ahead and slit the dots open. Can you see what we have? Now this is what you are going to spread on your fabric that will give you the gathers you need to gather on the sides. Do you understand? So that's the reason for the opening and closing of so many dots, so that we can have more space to draw gathers on. Okay, so after slitting them open like this, now we have to close the waist dart. This is why I said I shouldn't have slitted the middle. You slit the side so that you just put it on top of it, but I have to cut this part away. So I'm just going to put it on the other part of the dart remaining, close it up, and I will go ahead to tape it down. Now you can see that it's coming together. Please, if you're confused at this point, after watching this video to the end, you want to make your own, go ahead and be doing it according to the clip by clip. You do one step, you stop, cross check what you've done, go to the other step, do it and stop. Like all the dart markings, if you are not used to that manipulation, it will be very confusing to you. So the best way for you to do it is you place one marking on your pattern, do it. Don't do it directly on your fabric. Please use a pattern paper so you don't waste your fabric. So now that we're done slashing the whole side, you can see that I've cut the other part away. I want to extend the neck measurement. You know it's 3 inches before, so I'm making it 4 inches. So I'm marking 1 inch on both sides of the neck width. So and I came in from the midpoint, I came in by 4 inches. You know it's 4 inches the neck width is now measuring. So I now made the depth 8 inches, right? I made it 8 inches. So I'm going to connect it straight to the shoulder like so. After connecting it like so, I now realize that it is too low, because at this point my boobs will be showing and I don't want my boobs exposed in this particular dress. It's meant to be classy. So I went ahead to come down by 6 inches from the shoulder line. Okay, I didn't use 8 inches anymore. Then from that 6 inches, now I went ahead to connect with my curve ruler to the other neckline like so. So after doing it like this, I went ahead to cut it out. So from the shoulder to that place I made the curve is 6 inches. Take note of that. If you want yours deeper than that, you can extend it. Okay, more than 6 inches. So I went ahead to cut it out. So after cutting it out like this, you can see that the pattern is ready. Like I said earlier, if you want to work on this thing and you're not very familiar with slash and spread, all this dart manipulation, after watching the whole video, go ahead, go back again, you watch one clip, go and do it on your pattern, watch another clip, do it, watch another clip, do it like that. That's how you will understand it. So I went ahead to add sewing allowance all over it, 1/2 inch, even at the center. The side of it was 1 inch because that's my sewing allowance for the side, and on the lower part I added 1 inch. So I've gone ahead to cut everything out. I added 1/2 inch to the neck part. You know I will be turning with my facing, so I added that allowance for the turning. Then I went to notch where my seam line will stop, where we created like that v-neck from the dart leg. That's where I am notching, so that I will know where to stop when I'm stitching. Okay, can you see the v line of created? So now here is the back pattern. I've already drafted everything. I've added my waist dart and all that. So the full length is 24, like I told us earlier. Then the next thing I'm going to do now is I'm just going to cut it out. Then the 1.5 inch we added to the side of the front, I have to add it back to the back so that it will align when I'm joining it together. If you do not add it back, it's not going to align when you're joining it. Okay, it won't come out well. So after doing that, I went ahead to cut it out. So for the back pattern majorly, I want to show us how to transfer your dart to your fabric, from your paper to your fabric easily without any stress. So I've gone ahead to cut it out here, and I've gone ahead to spread it on the fabric. So you can see that at the center of it, I have extra allowance, which is 1.5 for zipper allowance. I went ahead to add half an inch to the shoulders for joining. We added to the front, so we have to add to the back. Then I'm extending the waistline. Okay, so I've added 1.5 of an inch at the center for zipper allowance. So I'm marking half inch inwards to connect straight. I wanted to connect it to the chest line, but I went ahead to connect it straight to the upper part to give it more fitting at the back. At the beginning when you saw it, it was very fitted. The back was very fitted. This is how I did it. Then on the waistline, I will come down by 5 inches. I will mark it. Then I will create a slant line, connect to the 5 inches I marked. Okay, now the half inch we've used here, now the center for zipper tightening, go ahead and return it to the side. If you don't return it, your measurements will not align. Okay, so after that, I went ahead to reconnect all the lines. Because of the new half inch I added, I reconnected the lines. Then I went ahead to cut everything out, adding 1 inch to the side as seam allowance, 1 inch to the lower part as hemming allowance, like we did for the front pattern. So after cutting it out, I went ahead to cut on the sleeve. Okay, so the sleeve pattern, you're just going to, okay, so we are going to do the dart. We are going to transfer the dart to the fabric. So for you to do that, pin the paper to your main fabric, then cut the paper. Just cut the dart part away from the paper, like so. Can you see what I'm doing? I'm not cutting on the fabric, it's only on the paper I'm cutting on. So I'm cutting the dart part open on the paper. So after cutting it open, the next thing you want to do is to go ahead and grab your chalk, right? So it is the chalk you will use to trace the dart line. Okay, that way it is easy for you, and the lines will align like they are straight. You'll not be having bent darts on your pattern or on your dress. Okay, so this is the simplest way to transfer your dart. Now that we've transferred it to the side, I'm going to remove the paper and flip it to the other side. There are two. Okay, and while we are picking the dart on the two sides of the back, so I'm just removing the pins here so that I can flip the paper on the other side. Can you see it? You can see that there is no dart line on this side. So I'm just going to arrange the paper accordingly and draw out the dart with chalk again also. So you can see what I'm doing. So this is how to transfer your dart to your fabric easily. It is very, very easy to do. So when you go straight to your machine, it is the part where you have the chalk, that's the part you will sew on. Okay, so now that I'm done marking it like this, the next thing I want to do is the sleeve. I decided to do this pattern of sleeve because I like it and I feel it to come out well, and it came out well. So I went ahead to bring my sleeve pattern. My sleeve pattern normal measurement is 23.5, but I extended the full length of this one to 30 inches because of the pattern of sleeve. So after extending it, if you don't know how to draft your basic sleeve pattern, I have a video on how to do it. Very easy for beginners. I'll drop the link in the description box for you. So I went ahead to extend it by like 5 inches, but I saw that it was too much, like it was too sharp. Okay, so I didn't use it. I didn't use that part. At the end of the day, I still came in from this part again. I still came in because I felt like it was too sharp at the edge. So don't forget that the full length of the sleeve now is 30 inches. It depends on how long your hand is. I just measured it a little bit away from my fingernails. It didn't just cover my fingers, but it covered my hand fully. So this is what we have. This is the sleeve pattern. I'm going to just use this one to cut the second sleeve, and here we have the two sleeves pattern already cut out. So here now I'm removing the paper from the pattern so that I will go ahead and create gathers with my needle and thread. So I have my needle and thread with me here. So I'm going to start the gathers from the part I notched. You know the part I notched earlier, that's where the gathers will start from. Don't make it more than that place. That's where your gathers should stop. So I'm just going to draw the gathers all along. If you're still watching at this point and you find this video helpful, leave a comment. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, comment and share. So I'm gone ahead to draw the gathers all through. I'll remove the paper from the other side. Then I'm just going to pin it and arrange it. So I will arrange the gather. You see this whole place we've gathered now is only going to come on that other small curve on the small side of the pattern. So I will do where to arrange all the gathers on it. Okay, I will arrange it on it evenly. So you can see what I'm doing, that I'm taking my time to do it. So after arranging all the gathers, the next thing you want to do now is to pin it down. You pin it down very well before you go to your sewing machine to sew it. So you can see how far we've come, and you can see that it's already coming together. Don't forget to comment, don't forget to like, subscribe and share. If you have any question, please drop in the comment section. I'll be glad to attend to it. So you can see me still trying to arrange it. Take your time and arrange it very well so that it will come out nicely. So I'm just going ahead to pin it all down. After arranging it, I'm just going to pin everything together before going to the sewing machine to just run a straight stitch and join it together. Okay, so this is what I'm doing. I'm still pinning it and I'm still arranging it at this point. So after doing that, the next thing we'll be going to do now is to go ahead to the sewing machine, and this is it. I have to flip it to the other side so that you can see it properly. Can you see what we have? So I'm just going to the machine now to sew it, and after sewing it, the thread I use in drawing the gathers, I'm going to cut it away because I do not need it. Okay, so here I'm still pinning it, I'm still arranging it very well. This is what we have. So I'll go ahead and sew it and it will end there. So after sewing it, this is what we have. The next thing now, I cut out facing for it also. So I'm going to put the facing on it. How to cut your facing? Just place the neckline on the fabric and trace it out. That's just basically how to cut your facing. So I'm just going to pin the facing around it. Then I will go straight to the sewing machine and sew the facing around it also. Then after doing that, I will do the same thing to the back. You know, the back is also carrying facing. Why are we using facings? Because there is no lining for the top, okay? So that's why we're using facing. I've gone ahead to sew the facing. So I'll go ahead to iron it later. So this is the back pattern. We will go ahead and fix the facing to the back also. But don't forget that we have darts to close. So the darts will be on the wrong side. You can see the facing for the back. That's how you place it. You go ahead and sew it all around like we did for the front pattern. So you go ahead and close the dart. The dart will be on the wrong side of the fabric, but the facing, you are placing it right side facing right side, so that when you turn it, it will go to the wrong side of the fabric. So at this point, I've gone ahead to hold the dart. You can see how straight the dart is, even though I've not ironed it here. So I've gone ahead to close the dart, the both darts for the back sides, and I've gone ahead to attach the facing to it. This is the facing. You can see it flipping it to the inside. Then this is the front part. So I'll go ahead and iron it, and we'll be using hemming gum for all the parts because I don't want any stitches, I don't want plenty stitches. So this is the zipper I'm using. I went ahead to mark where I want the zipper to stop. So I'm going to sew from the hemline to where I want the zipper to stop and attach the zipper. So at this point, I've gone ahead to attach the zipper, and this is what we have. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to join the shoulders and the sides together. So these are the shoulders. You can see me arranged together. So you spread the facing open too. So you sew it from the facing. Now you're sewing it a straight line. Join everything together, okay, so that when you flip it, it will be neatly done. After joining the shoulders, I'll go ahead and join the both sides together also. So after joining the both sides together, this is what we have. So I'll go ahead and measure the armhole round. So whatsoever he gives me, whatsoever the measurement give me at the armhole is what I will use to mark on my sleeve to go and sew. Okay, so I will just fold the sleeve into two back and mark it. Let's say the armhole I just measured gave me 8 inches. It is the 8 inches I will mark, curving my tape following the shape of the sleeve. You mark it round until you get to the measurement you just measured from the top you want to attach the sleeve to. Then I'll go ahead and make and sew a straight line. I'm coming in by 1 inch. Then you know that the stitches is going to stop at the curve where the curve started from in the sleeve. Okay, that's where the stitches will stop. So I'll make a straight stitch. I'll just go ahead and sew it. So here I've gone ahead to sew it. This is what we have. So I will just flip it to the right side so that you can see what we've done. So after flipping it to this right side, this is what we have. The shape is not coming out, so I will just go ahead and notch it where the stitches end. I will notch it at that point, so that by the time I spread it, the design for the sleeve will come out. Can you see what we have? You can see that the style is already coming out. So the next thing you want to do now is to attach the sleeve to the top. So what do? You will flip your top to the wrong side, flip it open up the armhole of the top. Make sure your sleeve is at the right side. You will shook your sleeve inside the top. So just put it in between. Then you make sure that the edges, the both edges of the sleeve and of the top is meeting. Then you go ahead, pin it all round. And after pinning it all round, you can see what I'm doing. You're just pinning it. You are pinning the sleeve round the armhole. So after pinning it all round, the next thing you want to do now is to go straight to your sewing machine and sew it round. So by the time you go ahead to sew it round, we are done attaching the sleeve. So the next thing I want to show us now is how to use hemming gum to make your work look neat. So I've attached the sleeve to it like that, and this is me at the ironing table. This is the sleeve. Let's start from the sleeve. You will bring your hemming gum like this. You put it inside, okay? So you're using it to fold it. So when you place it, fold the fabric on top of the hemming gum like this, sprinkle water on it and iron it. So when you do it like this, it gives you a very neat work. You can still use this method and still go ahead to run stitches, but I don't want thread at the corner or at the edge of the stop. I just want it very neat. That's why I'm using hemming gum. You can actually fold it and sew it. It's even easier that way. So as I fold it round all the rough edges, I'm going to fold everything around. Don't forget that I've gone ahead to weave all the edges before I'm doing this, okay, to give me a very neat work done, because I'm only folding once. So You can see how I'm placing the hemming gum inside. I will sprinkle water and I will iron. This is how I will continue until I'm done. So I've done the sleeve round like that. Now we have to do the side. You are going to fold the side inside also. Can you see? Place it at that point and iron it. So I will repeat the same thing like this for the neckline. You know, there is facing for the neckline and we want it to relax very well. Okay, so this is the sleeve. You can see how neatly done it is. The next thing is the neckline. Okay, so this is the back side of the neckline. Just place your hemming gum in between it, then you iron it down. So this is what you would do on the neckline, both the front and the back neckline. And you also go ahead to repeat the same thing for the lower part, like the hem of the top. Okay, you do the same thing for the hem of the top, and when you're done, your top come out very neat and very nice. Okay, that is if you don't have this invisible hem machine. I think this is the best way to make your work very neat. So I will do the same thing on all the neckline and also on the lower part. And after doing that, this is what we have. You can see the neckline is neatly done. Can you see it? Then the lower part, can you see how neat the lower part is? Every part of it has been hemmed all round with hemming gum. So this brings us to the end of the video. If you find the video helpful, give it a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe. Thank you for watching. Bye.